Hey everybody, welcome to, oh no. Hello everybody, and welcome to a video where we're going to be comparing Crayola markers with their competitor, Cra-Z-Art markers. Are they going to be better? Are they going to be worse? Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? We don't know. We're going to find out. Stay tuned. I'm like looking down at the chat the whole time. I imagine, this is just my guess here, that these are both very cheap children's products. So I would not be surprised if the quality is very similar. Oh, I should probably show off the box, right? So here's the box. It says new on it, but I don't, is it new? They have like a whole bunch of different stuff. They're just like a competitor, regular competitor to Crayola. Also the box's plastic feels different. Yeah, this just feels like cardboard. But the box here is like cardboard with like some sort of plastic or something. It feels thicker. So first thing we will notice is that there are two greens here and there is no gray. Here's what the marker looks like. Grab the black because this will be easiest to see. It doesn't say the color on it. I like how it just says marker. Do you see that? Like, oh, really? Okay. Was I gonna confuse this with a different product? Ooh, ah. This one says the color. I like that it says the color. I know they're not very, like, you know, out of the box colors over here, but like, oh no, I'm gonna mix up the caps. This is a mistake. Let me put that over there. So the nib is way smaller. Wow, I was not expecting that. That's way tiny. I do find it interesting that they do have two greens. Like, I don't think Crayola has copyrighted the rainbow. I don't know why they couldn't include a gray. Like, why green? Let's get some paper out. Let's do some swatching. All right, who's gonna win? What do y'all think? Cra-Z-Art gonna be any good? I'll go ahead and swatch Crayola first because we know Crayola. Basically, Crayola owned by cheap knockoff brand. Results may surprise you. Crayola humiliated. Why do we assume that Crayola is gonna be owned here? What if Cra-Z-Art is shit? All right, so here we go. We're swatching. Yes, this is absolutely a different pink. Oh, you can tell. It's not bad though. I'm not offended. So here's the red versus the red. They're basically the same. Here we go. Like I gotta zoom in here and look. They're different, but they're close. I don't know, so far I'm not offended. They're going on the paper very smooth. What happened? This is the same color? Yeah, these caps are more neon. What in the world? This just looks like a skin tone. It doesn't look like an orange. Okay, I was like, here I was sitting like, oh, this is gonna be basically the same thing. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, okay. Now I'm like, I don't know what to expect. Yeah, the yellow is a yellow. That was unexciting. The orange thing though, that was like, what? All right, so aside from that orange fiasco, the other colors were effectively just fine. It was really just that orange that was like, okay, I'm sorry, what did you say to me? But there were some color differences. The pink was a little bit more of like what you think of more like a pink. It was a little bit more saturated, a little bit brighter, a little bit more like pink, slightly more on the purple side. The reds were almost identical. The yellows almost identical. The greens, the Crayola green was actually seemingly kind of like a mix between the light green and the dark green. But yes, there are two greens in this set. No, I do not know why they made that decision. You can effectively just get the lighter green with the dark green, so I don't know why that was the thing. But hey, you have two greens, I guess, if your green's your favorite color. The blues were very close. The blue in the Cra-Z-Art is actually a little bit more desaturated. And then the purple's also very close. The purple in the Cra-Z-Art set is a little bit warmer and perhaps a little bit more saturated. The browns were the other significantly different colors. The brown in the Cra-Z-Art set is a little bit warmer and quite a lot lighter, and also perhaps more desaturated. The blacks pretty close in terms of just a general lay down swatch, but the difference comes when you add water. And actually this is a huge nitpick that I've always had with the Crayola markers. Black always kind of gave me some trouble. I never liked that it was a cooler black. A lot of blacks I feel like have like this cooler undertone where there's like some sort of green or blue in the black, and I just kind of really wanted a more neutral black, and Crayola doesn't exactly have that. I mean, it's close, it's still a black, but you know, there's stuff to it. But the black in the Cra-Z-Art set, I actually think is a very, very beautiful black. I actually really like the black, and I'm actually not offended now that there is not a gray included, because I think you can do a lot of grays with just the black. However, I do think that it was a bit of a waste to include 2 greens. I'm not sure what other color they could have included. I think it probably would have been fine to include a gray, just like have it be a different kind of gray, maybe a colder gray. I don't know, just like another option, another type of color to include, whereas the greens were identical. It was just a difference of brightness, a difference of value. They were otherwise exactly the same. I think bringing something kind of different, like a completely different green or something, you know? I don't know, maybe a warmer green or something like that, like an olive. That would have been interesting to kind of shake things up a bit, but they were the exact same green. So it kind of feels like a waste to have done that. Or, you know, a different orange. I think the orange they included could have been a fine color if they also included the standard rainbow orange in the set. I think it was kind of a mistake. And it's really glaringly obvious when you look at the rainbow swatch. The orange it just does not belong. Like, it really stands out. For a children's art supply, I'm actually very shocked that they didn't go standard rainbow there. And the brown is a very beautiful brown, but I'm not sure that it is the best brown for like this kind of set. It's a very more, I don't know if this sounds weird, but it's like an artsy brown. It's not like you think of like regular brown colors, like for kids supplies, like you don't think of this brown. So it's just kind of a weird choice. It's still a beautiful brown. I'm still not offended they included it, but I do think the brown and the orange were definitely the weird choices, aside, and the 2 greens. Like, you could leave the brown alone, change the 2 greens. Like, if you want to have 2 greens, make them different greens, and not just the same green, but lighter or darker. And then the orange is a huge problem. But I'll include the scan of the paper as well. But you can get that more vibrant orange when you mix it with the red. But it's kind of a shame that you have to mix it at all. In terms of layering, it has very similar feel to layering with the Crayola. I'm using the Canson XL mixed media paper. Do not recommend this paper for any sort of wet media. I have an entire video talking about random cheap paper that you can use. It was aimed at watercolor artists, but it works just the same for probably a lot of different artists. So if you want to check out that video where I compare a bunch of different sketchbooks and papers, I'll put a link to that in the description and in the card. I include this sketchbook in that review, and this sketchbook did not perform well, to say the least. So I did do a couple different layerings and testings and stuff like that with water. In terms, like, ignoring the orange, ignoring the greens and sort of stuff, I am very impressed. I mean, I walked into this fully expecting these to be completely comparable, completely very similar. They're 2 cheap children's brands. As much as I do love Crayola, they're still a cheap children's brand, and, you know, they're still gonna really compare to other cheap children's brands. So I'm not super surprised that the Cra-Z-Art performed almost identical. There were such subtle differences, but they were effectively the same. Again, aside from the orange, which I really do not know what happened there. I keep looking at it. It's very distracting. Like, you can get that orange with the Crayola orange. You just add water. So I don't understand that decision. I don't know if I got some sort of fluky set. Like, if anybody else has tried Cra-Z-Art, please tell me if your orange is just as wild as this orange. I need to know. I only bought 1 set. I didn't think to buy more in case there were going to be issues. But I mean, if there are issues in between sets, that already kind of says something in and of itself. But, you know, that's a different conversation. But in terms of adding water, they melted just as well. They performed just as well. I'm doing a frog, if you can't tell already, where I drew the frog originally completely in Crayola markers. I just used 4 colors. I used yellow, green, blue, and brown for the frog, and I was going to do the same artwork with the Cra-Z-Art markers. Obviously, there's a little bit of differences because I'm human and I can't draw the exact same thing perfectly both times. In terms of that, extremely, extremely similar. The only thing I can maybe say is it's perhaps a touch more streaky. It's so subtle, and I'm also not 100% certain that wasn't somehow my fault, like how I was using the brushes this time or something like that. But it feels like maybe a touch less smooth, but like it's so subtle. It's really hard to like say this is a confirmation of, yeah, oh, for sure it's slightly less smooth. There's slightly more of like a streakiness to it. Because I mean, I only did this one artwork and stuff, so it's kind of hard to say with confirmation there, but I wanted to mention it just in case. It's so incredibly similar. I don't have really anything else that I can really add on to this. They are very, very comparable art tools. I did find though that when I was using the brown, it was a little bit more of a nuisance for that brown just because it's not so dark. Because I was used to Crayola's dark brown that is included in their set, I was not accustomed to this lighter. It's quite significantly lighter, their brown. So I had to do more brown layers to get a darker brown, which is fine, but it just wasn't something that I was used to, so it felt a little bit more annoying to me. But for somebody who just picks up this set and you just get used to this set, like that's not gonna be a problem. But for me, with water-based tools, like you can get lighter. You just add water. So for them to include like this stupidly, like what even is this orange? Like to include this orange, to include the light green, and to include like this light, it's a pretty light brown, I think, for this set. I was kind of surprised about because you can go lighter. You can. And you can go darker with like layering, but sometimes depending on your paper, especially if like you're a kid using cheap crappy paper, or like me and you're an adult using cheap crappy paper, layering is not always like an ideal situation here because you're gonna just end up tearing up the paper. I think it was a mistake to have it be that. I think I would have preferred having a slightly, I love the brown. I really, really do. It's a beautiful, beautiful brown, but I wish it was a little bit darker. And then I wish that they didn't include the green, that light green. The dark green's fine, whatever, that's fine. But just if you have to have two greens, I get it. Maybe the person who designed this box set really loves the color green. Pick a different green. It's literally the same color green, but just lighter. So a different green would have been, I think that would have been pretty great. The yellow, no comment. The red, no comment. The pink, both color pinks you're gonna find in nature, but I just prefer desaturated, but it's still a pretty pink. So I think the colors in the set are the blue. I wish the blue was probably a little bit more oomph, but you can kind of color mix to get more oomph with the colors. Otherwise, this performed just fine. The frog that I drew worked out just fine, aside from the paper, which I hate. I hate this paper. I can't wait until I finish this sketchbook and I'm done with this paper. Yeah, I don't really have much more thoughts. I don't know if I haven't looked into it, so super prepared for this video. I don't know if they have a fine line of markers. I don't know if they have separate quote-unquote refills, because Crayola does include separate packs you can buy of the classic 8 set, which is an important detail. They do not have the classic 10 set in terms of quote-unquote refills. And I say refills because you're just buying more of the individual marker. They have like a 12 pack, like a color, so if you want yellow markers, you can buy a 12 pack of just the yellow markers, but they only have it for the 8 classic set. They don't have it for the 10, so there's no pink and there's no gray. So if you run out of those two colors, you're gonna have to get them some other way, unfortunately, which I'm super pissed about, and I really wish that they would include, because the 10 set is everywhere now. You don't really see the 8 set anymore. The 10 set is kind of the default, so I don't know why Crayola hasn't expanded into including gray and pink in those bulk things that you can buy separately. Bruh. I know I'm talking about Cra-Z-Art though. So for Cra-Z-Art, I don't know. I'm assuming they would probably have a fine line. I'd have to look into that. Future Sam here editing this video. I did end up looking up on their official website for Cra-Z-Art that they do in fact have a fine line of markers. They also have a bold set of markers, which is, you know, potentially comparable to Crayola's bold set. I don't know. I don't have it. And also, interesting, they have super tips. I'm a little surprised about that. I would have thought, you know, if they couldn't be bothered to include a gray in their classic set because that's somehow copyrighted, because Crayola copyrighted the rainbow. How did they get the word super tip? Is that... okay, that's fine. I mean, I'm glad Crayola didn't, you know, take that. Anyway, so if you go on Amazon, I also found that they have, you know, a whole bunch of supplies, but they also have like stuff in bulk, so you can get bulk crayons, can get bulk colored pencils. And if you scroll down, boop boop boop, you also can get the markers in bulk. So that is an option in terms of getting the bulk markers, but I have not found buying the bulk markers individually. So only in like this giant set, which, you know, if you're going to be doing a lot of water-based marker art and you decide to use this brand, then I think it works out to get that, but I just want to let you guys know that this is available, so that exists. All right, anyway, back to the video. that would have been a little bit helpful here, but you can still get really thin lines with their nibs. And like I mentioned earlier, their nibs are different. They are smaller, and that is a little bit more of a pain. I noticed when I was trying to color in larger areas, you do have to kind of work more effort than you do with the Crayola markers. But like that, you can get used to that. So it's so much of this stuff is like aside from the orange, I swear to God. So aside from the orange, but you can get used to like any of these quirks. I got used to Crayola's quirks. I got used to their black. I'm not a big fan of their black, but I got used to it. And I got used to their green. I wasn't the biggest fan of their green, but I got used to it. So as this plane is going by, you can get used to the limitations that the sets provide. And you're going to find that in every single art tool. No matter if it's like the most expensive, best art tool on the planet, there's going to be things about it that you might not be a fan of, you might not like. There's not really anything more I can say aside from that. I am both surprised but also not surprised. I guess I didn't expect it to go so well, I will say the least for that. So if you would like to check out a sort of mini, quote unquote, walkthrough, a little mini process of how I did the Crayola frog, I have that for free on my Patreon page. I'll link that in the description down below if you kind of want to see some more progress shots. The process was basically the same, very similar to the video, but in case you want to kind of read a little bit extra stuff and some art tips and things like that that I didn't really discuss here, you can check that out for free on my Patreon page, patreon.com/sambeawesome. I'll link it in the description. Yeah, if you've tried Cra-Z-Art markers, let me know what your experience was in the comments. If there's any other art tools or like Crayola competitors or something like that you'd like to see me try out, or stuff you'd like to see me review, let me know in the comments. Any sort of content you'd like to see from me, let me know. If you'd like to catch my live streams where I do stuff like this live, like I did this frog live, you can check that out linked in the description. As usual, all of the links in the description. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Go look at my descriptions. Anyway, hopefully y'all enjoyed, and that's kind of my review. It's good. It's great. If you want to pick up your own markers and you don't have Crayola available, and for some reason you have Cra-Z-Art, aside from the orange, go for it. I think it's yeah, that's it. That's my review. All right, thanks so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope y'all have an awesome rest of your day. Take good care of yourselves. Give yourself a little pat on the back for just being you, just being awesome. I patted myself on the back while I said that because, you know, treat yourself well. All right. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. Bye-bye.